Good evening, everyone. In today's video, I'm quickly gonna go over the different formations you can actually set up for your marches. And you may not really have touched too much base with this, or just briefly ignored it, at least in the early seasons, as you might have felt that it is limited how much you can play around with different formations, given that you are probably focusing on one march only. And therefore I'm actually gonna just quickly go over this, as I am in that position. I haven't really utilized different formations that much because I'm still at a stage where I'm only using my main Wind Earth hybrid march, as you can see here. The other march that I'm developing is still way too weak to really play any difference. I can't play around with different immortal setups using this one, as they're still way too low. They're missing some skills, and also their rankings are just too poor. But you can actually still really benefit from the formation mechanics here, even though that you only have one march. And I'm just quickly gonna talk a little bit about how I use it. It's very limited, the effect it actually has, but it's against certain players that I use this. And yeah, I know this is gonna seem a bit hostile, but it's just really like there are certain players on my server, specifically in the arena, that I really need to counter. And I have two good examples of that in this case. So if we just start from the top, then this is my kind of standard layout that I have. And all, like, if you just browse through the formation of my units, they're all the same. Mine, the lower one has full dragon, so that's kind of like I use that as a full power march. Even though that the two dragons, say the fire and the water dragon that you have below here, that they don't really play much of a role. The marches are too weak anyways, but it does impact my overall power, and therefore I rarely use that one, just because it will actually pick up my overall troop power here, so the highest power you see. So really have that in mind as well if you are looking to stay at certain power levels, in case you are considering migrating. This here can really mess it up for you if you have an old setting where it's with some high level dragons in all your marches. You really increase your troop, like your total power. So be careful with it. If you are like me, running around with the two marches without dragons, for instance, to stay at a minimum. But yeah, to go into the marches, then it's only the main march and it's the skill setup that differs. So briefly how it works is that the equipment and everything, the gems and the immortals, they remain the same throughout these formations. What you get to customize is the artifacts as well as the skills. So, and of course the immortal formation itself. So this one, this example here is really just that it's the same immortal formation across, but we are gonna swap around the skills a little bit. And the reason I'm doing that, for instance, is that I am on Quinn and Zenobia playing Berserk and Misleading, and these are my two auras. The rest is the same. I really want to play with Defense Blessing, Speed Blessing, as well as War Blessing, to just really nuke down my opponents in the initial 12 seconds. And yeah, same, I'm playing a lot of hybrid marches, so I also want to decrease the damage I take in those initial 12 seconds. The auras, however, are throughout the entire battle, and these are situational dependent on my opponents. And the reason why I swap this around a little bit is because I play with Misleading to lower the accuracy rate, so I get a really high dodge rate. And you can watch some of my previous videos where I'm testing this in training camp, but I'm also gonna go over an example here today. It just, like, this is tremendous against physical, especially hybrid marches. You can really, like, these 20%, they make a huge difference. But there is another skill. Let's see if I can just see it here. That is, let me find it, Coercion. And this one reduces the dodge rate of all enemy units. So you may have opponents that are well aware that accuracy is very important. We need to hit all our attacks with Hannibal and Alexander, and therefore they are playing this one to be safe. And it really just mitigates misleading completely, and suddenly they will pretty much hit 100% of all their attacks, and this one doesn't play much role, and therefore it can be very beneficial. And that's why I sometimes swap down to this one, the Dutch hybrid build I have here. And that's because I simply replace misleading with paralysis, because this is just a static, reduce the attack speed of all enemy opponents, and this is also super great against the hybrid marchers. You may think to yourself that, alright, but why don't you just always play with this? And the reason is, I will just show you here, that in the arena here, if we go to battle reports, why I pretty much always run misleading is exactly for this example here, that if we take Big Boss Man here, fairly similar to me in the build and all this. Just take a look at bonus comparison. I do believe I have quite a bit high Dutch. Well, I don't have Lord Talons on right now, so it's actually quite low, but I do have the VIP status bonus on my Dutch. So my Dutch would even be higher had were I playing with the PvP Talons. Right now I'm just grinding, so I don't have it on. But if you go in and look at his Hannibal, let's start here, then you see, so off his normal attacks, there's a 20% Dutch rate here. So 3 of those attempts were Dutched. Then we go into his Alexander here, and suddenly still 34%. It's 12% of his normal attacks that got Dutched actually. And what this means, it's especially for the Wind Earth hybrid, is, you know, there's a proc on all their landing normal attacks. That's where they hit a combo, they might hit the cleave, and it's just really tremendous to be able to dodge the normal attacks they spit out. So therefore I always play with it, and it's really the main component here in why I win with such a large margin. It's because, as you can see, there's just a tremendous dodge happening here. So without that, it would look completely different. And that's an example here that we have Cake Daisy here, that he, for instance, let me just show you that he plays exactly with coercion. And now it's quite significant that despite I'm running with misleading, there's 0 dodge on his normal attacks here. If we take Alexander, 0 dodge. So in this scenario, that if you know your opponent is playing coercion, there's no point in playing with misleading. It simply counters each other. So instead, I should definitely, against Cake Daisy for instance, be playing with paralysis. And therefore I should just really, whenever I play, say in any scenario, you know who you're up against in your opponent, you should really swap the formation in that scenario. So yeah, this is just a great way to quickly be able to do that you just, so if I knew in the arena I was playing Cake Daisy now, I would swap around and then go right in and just attack him there, because now, we can't see it here, but yeah, the skills are now, you know, swapped around, and that's just really great. And it's a super quick way to just, during your limited gameplay, rather than swapping around manually, you just have these different setups. So that's how I play around really. So that was it for this video, guys. Like and subscribe. See you around. Bye bye.